PTA.listen if you want to see the visuals on YouTube. At the top, we were with Nick Nat on the Mandurah line. Not the Mandurah line, the Midland line. Apologies. That's the first slip up. Listen to Kenny Rogers, Buy Me a Rose. And that was TLC Creep, the Untouchables mix. Tom, where are we going now?
Well, I wanted to ask my good friend Nicholas, what is your real full name?
Yeah.
Is it Nicholas?
Yeah, my actual, if you ask my mates, Nicholas, but my family, Fiji, they call me Veveni.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you'll never hear someone that's...
How do you spell that?
Veveni. Yeah, there's a fun fact. I don't reckon not many people know that.
Yeah, that's
Veveni.
your real name, Veveni.
Yeah, it's my middle name, but it's my name. Like my sister, for instance, she'll never call me... Even Harry at the club, you probably never realise. He never calls me Nick. He'll call me Venny or Veveni.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Well, that actually wasn't what I was going to ask you. I wanted to ask my good friend Veveni about that sort of next chapter, right? Like Midland days, crazy upbringing, kicking the footy on the streets with Yaron and Sun and the boys. And then, you get drafted and turn into a megastar icon like pretty quickly. And, in that sort of in your 20s to 25s, like what was going on for you at that time going through this transitional, I'm a Fijian kid who's just grown up kicking the footy. Now I'm a fucking superstar and I can't go get my groceries. And then musically, like what was the sort of context there too?
Yeah, it was a bit of shock. I had a little bit of time to prepare, but I didn't have too much. Like all of a sudden I was in school, and then all of a sudden I had a year out where I'd go to uni for that first year. And then
what were you doing at uni?
I was doing a journalism degree. Yeah, I was doing a bit of film broadcast and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, but then I figured out with the AFL you can just, I don't know, fall into it somehow. There's enough people there that can teach you, which I feel sorry for some of those people I went to uni with. I'm like, oh man, they try so hard and do it all properly, and then these idiots who play the sport who probably don't present as well.
Dan's sitting right there, mate. He's right there.
Just come and take. There's probably a guy been trying to do a podcast for many years.
And these two dickheads fall into it.
Just walk in and come and do it. Yeah. So I did that, and then I used to love doing. Like I had a real passion for anthropology, so like cultural stuff and just learning a bit about that. So I did a little bit of that, but I dropped out of uni when I got to West Coast, but purely for the fact that I was just getting hassled at uni. I went to Curtin, and you'd sit in the lecture, and especially doing journalism and stuff, you're studying things like the West or what's happening, and then the lecturer would ask, "Oh, Nick, nice game on the weekend," or people coming up. So I'd be in and out, and
so it happened pretty quickly. As in, like you got drafted, you were high pick, eh?
Yeah, I'm pick number 2. Yeah,
pick 2. You're at West Coast. Yeah. Everyone loves footy in WA.
Yeah,
and from
Perth,
that day, it was like everywhere you went, people tugging at you.
Everywhere I went. So it was like you've obviously seen it many times, but all of a sudden you lose your privacy, you lose any anonymity, and it's like, and it's not like I went from living where I was living to then living in a gated community where I can just go to footy and concentrate. I was still living in Midland, like for my first few years. I lived there up until I was in my mid to late 20s. So I caught the train for the first few years. I was driving my VX Commodore that used to have to jump start with my brother with both jumper cables like before I go to training. People don't see it. Like it's hard because you look back now and I got a nice house, I drive a nice car. I got great things. Like I got a lot of sneakers and things like that.
You do
but
have
people,
a lot of sneakers.
but people don't see like sometimes people who meet you for the first time don't actually know where you're about or where you've come from. So I'm like, it's hard to go, I got this, but I come from here. So the more I can tell that to people, the better it is sometimes, because a lot of people judge. But it was tough because I went from just minding my own business but then trying to figure out, and I caught up with Chris Judd just as I was drafted. And he spoke to me. I've spoken about it a few times. He spoke to me about the roller coaster, about when you're on their highs and you're up in the air and you got your hands in the air, it's all amazing. But then you go down the lows, there's perils and pitfalls. Like it can be the most like despair, like bottomless pit you could ever think of. So he's like, if you keep riding this roller coaster, whether it's with the media or with your form or whatever you do with football, that's going to kill you. It's going to send you into a mental spiral. So I always had that in the back of my head. Like, yes, everyone's high-fiving me now. I'm popular, whatever. But then, I start playing bad footy. I'm going to be getting bagged. People aren't going to like me from another team or another code, or supporters from another base. My family's going to have expectations, my friends, all that stuff. So I never really rode the roller coaster. And it's hard because I've been involved and worked with, people like Channel 7 and stuff for many years, but I never watched the news or read the paper. And that was one thing I hadn't done for 15 years. Yes, I know what's going on. I'd be lying to you if I say I didn't know what's being said or what's happening. But I just never subscribed to it. I wouldn't turn the news on at 5 o'clock. I got to the point where I'd be like, don't put that on. So apologies to all the presenters out there. I know who you all
especially the
are.
ones that wrote the nice stuff.
Yeah, the nice stuff. But
Rick Arden's pissed.
Yeah, I know. Rick Arden. Yeah. Ryan Daniels' ego is probably angry now. It's probably been hurt. But no, I just wouldn't watch it. I just don't think it's a healthy thing to do when your whole life is in it. Like, I doubt that someone in Hollywood like a Leonardo DiCaprio or Justin Bieber or someone's watching Entertainment Tonight or something like tabloid stuff like that, because it'll send you crazy. But as footballers, you tend to do it because it's somehow ingrained that that's the way to get your news or subscribe and find out who you are as a person or
and
who you are as a
sometimes
player.
that find some self-worth. And
well, really,
not
yeah.
getting self-worth
No,
from
that's
there,
it.
getting
It's really
avenues
someone's
that you
opinion. It's just like, hey, that opinion matters sometimes, but it doesn't matter as much as what you or your internal people sort of say about you. So I found that as the best thing, but I just couldn't go out. Like, yes, it was good when I was 18. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd go out and you don't line up. You don't pay for drinks. You're doing all this stuff. Like, and then, I have a big crew of mates, so you got 10, 15 rolling in deep into a place, and it's like anywhere I went, that was my little entourage or crew that you get looked after.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing ever. And people would, get angry at you for doing that. But it's the only way you could go out, because, I look at Harley Reid now and it's like, there's no way that kid's going out on his own or with one other guy.
Did you give him some similar advice that Judd gave to you?
I did. I sat down with him a bit and just went through it all, and I just explained to him how the sort of fishbowl of Perth works and the AFL and Australia as a whole. But then also have an understanding of there's a bigger world out there. And I had that luckily with my family and with Fiji and things like that to go, footy's great, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Whereas some people don't have those vices or those escapes to sort of lean on and remind them that, this is crap, but you just lost the game. Like, it's not that big. Like, you got a detention centre, someone's just lost their whole family. Like, you know what I mean? Or, so it's
perspective.
It's perspective. So that's probably another reason why I'd go and travel and go to some of these war-torn countries
to
in my
continually
off-season.
to tap into that perspective.
Yeah, because like with football, as much as we don't like talking about it, we get looked after in every sense. Like, you rock up, your bags get taken straight to your hotel room at the airport. You're sitting, your tickets are there. You're getting a muffin, you're getting a sandwich, you're getting a drink at the airport, that sort of stuff. You got someone that will help. If you really want to do, guys, you can get your bills paid for. You don't have to even see anything. Like, it all gets done for you. Like, there's some awesome people at the football club that just want to help and do everything for you. But sometimes it comes at the detriment of you being self-sufficient and being a good human at times. So, I always try to find ways to make it challenging or make it hard, even though the easy stuff is, the glamorous side too. But I don't know. It all comes part and parcel with rising to fame and being a footballer in this country.
Yeah, and also probably secondarily in your case being like a multicultural icon, or in Harley Reid's case being maybe the most talented 18-year-old footballer ever.
Yeah, 100%.
So there's like an extra sort of added flavour to your understanding of it that I don't have, for example. I was much of a longer, slower sort of process for me, and even, again, I'm less recognisable than you. And I've actually noticed recently, only marginally, that it's funny because and I noticed it with Harley and myself having been traded and being in the media, it's not even so much how recognisable you are, it's how recently they're reporting on you. Yeah. So I know through that trade period or whatever, everywhere I went, man, I felt like Nick Nat-Nui. Everyone was whispering, everyone was pointing at me. Yeah. And even people asked way more for photos, Eagles supporters as well.
Yeah.
It was like, this is my last chance. Or it's because you're frequently in the media, more than just a public persona, it makes like each instance of being noticed a lot more heavy.
Oh, 100%. And sometimes I think people think you go and ask these people to put you in the paper or something every day, and they bag
you. Don't want to be there.
They bag you for that. Like, I used to get bagged, like, oh, Nick, you're in the paper again, you idiot. Like, oh, look at this. And my friends and family would say the same thing, but it's like, I don't ask people to do it, but people, like Harley, he was in there every single day, and it's like...
That was wrong.
Yeah, it was wrong, and it's hard. But on the flip side, it is not too bad for your brand, because it gives you relevance, and some of the doors that have been opened is because of things like that. So I can't complain. Like, with it comes sponsors, with it comes people that want to attach themselves to you, And then the biggest thing I've said to Harley is trying to navigate and understand who do you choose and who do you give your time to is important, because if you do everything and anything, then you won't be able to concentrate on your football.
Yeah, you damage that brand, right?
100%. Yeah, I said, like, my whole thing with my management was always pick 3 or 4 things, you know, whether it's BHP, Channel 7, Nike, and, you know, Midway Forward. Like, those are, shout out to the sponsors.
Yeah, we're a Mazda podcast.
Yeah.
BT50,
Sorry,
the
my
BT50.
bad. But yeah, I've been with them since I was, you know, 18, 19 years of age, because I was like, I didn't understand. I was like, I can go and do 100 different sponsor gigs. It sounds rude saying it, but it was the truth. It's like every single man his dog will hit me up to do something with their brand or something, and I'm like, I wanted to do it too. I was like, man, there's so much cash here. But but having good people around me to say, hey, pick a couple things, do it right, and then you'll be able to do those things forever. And luckily, these guys have been with me the whole road through, and even post career. Like, when you have no or little relevance, they're still around, because you feel that, or you both mutually feel that you're part of the family, rather than just here's a little transactional relationship.
Here's a little cashy.
That's it, yeah. And they're good. Everyone loves a little cashy here and there. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've done a few of them, but those big long-term ones are the ones that really set you up and actually a bit more meaningful. So Harley, that's the one thing I've always said to him from day dot is pick a couple, don't do them all. Mate,
it was honestly learning for me when Harley come on the scene, because I wasn't around when you were there, or Juddy or Cuzzy, when it was like proper Prince of Perth spec. But Harley coming on the scene, sorry for talking about you so much, brother, but we'd go to a clinic like West Coast Eagles clinic in Dunsborough, and Harley's not played a game. He's 18 and 20 days and a child. And because he's been in the paper for 50 days in a row, the kids, like the 3 to 6 year old kids, were in a frenzy. Like it was like it was Ben Cousins, and he'd played 250 games and won a Brownlow. I couldn't believe it. Just you are what you eat. When those kids see that paper, man, it doesn't matter that you're in the paper. You must be a superstar. I love you. Yeah. And I couldn't believe how quickly and how intensely that had happened after he'd never even pulled the Guernsey on.
Yeah.
Did you, again, sorry, Harley, did you do anything to like intentionally protect him?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it's, again, like for me, it's never been a thing, because everyone's slowly it slowly happens over 2 years, let's say. Someone starts playing well, might get a rising star, might take a massive hangover.
And they can have this slow adjustment.
Slow adjustment. Here's your first presser. Here's this, where it was pretty obvious that wasn't going to be the case with Harley. So a lot of the boys, really try and protect him across all kinds of different realms, especially media protection, mostly emotional support, and like, hey, mate, we can't really help you either. I don't know what it's like going through this. We referred him Nick's way, where it's like there's probably one bloke who can kind of tell you, but you know, social media's gone to a new level now that it wasn't when you were there. So it's a different flavour. But you know, I actually remember having a similar conversation about how bad this must be for you and losing your privacy and all that. That's terrible. However, when you write it out, and if you write it out, the other side is, mate, you can pick your favourite 5 things. Do you like boating? Do you like fucking golf? Do you like, you know, engines and cars? Like, whatever it is that you actually like. And he does like those kind of things, man. He's a good country lad, like legend, loves having a good time. It's like, mate, you can lean into that. You can associate with that. You can bring those things into your life a lot easier than other people because of your brand.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, you know, even guys like you mentioned, Cuzzy was influential for me, because, you know, they'd always say today's news is tomorrow's fish and chip wrapper, and you'd have to think about that stuff. I'd always think about it in the back of my mind, and it's always like those little, like we say, gold nuggets that help you get through and go. Because, when I first came through, the same sort of thing. It's like I couldn't walk 10 steps without being hustled. You go to a kids clinic and they go, pick your station to go to. Now it's very structured. Pick your station you want to go to. I'd have 900 kids come to my one, and then the rest go to Will Schofield's one.
TBs.
But it was hard. And then the club has to find ways to help you. And like, we employ, like Peter Staples, for instance. Like, people joke, but he was my bodyguard for a long, long time. And it's just because what should take 10 minutes to walk through a casino for an event or walk to the airport to get to the gate would take an hour. And it's not just, and it still happens to this day, it's not just the fans, it's people who then go, oh, they're getting a photo with that person, I need to get a photo. They don't. Some of the people don't even speak English. They'll come up and go, I'm getting a photo because you're famous. And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm just, yeah. So it's like, you know, I don't know why I use that accent, but it's like, but yeah, it's just like, and I see it happen with Harley. It's like, you know, it's the staff. It's filling up your petrol, and it's the person at the pump, but it's a person that's behind the counter. Yeah. You know, it's in the IGA. It's not just the fans. It's actually the general population. And, you know, it happens with players now. Anyone sees them in the paper every day, you're going to go, oh, wow, I better get a photo. And I think, like you mentioned, the hardest thing now is every kid has a phone now. When I was coming through, there was a few, but the camera quality wasn't that great.
And your Nokia 2210
No, that's it. You could play Snake, and then you just... that's about it. You could sign a lot of stuff, but photos weren't as much. And now kids have got, you know, Snapchat and things like that, so they all want their own photos. They want selfies and things. So it's like 4-year-old kids are coming up now with phones. So it's a longer process, but that's why they're getting paid the bigger bucks these days. It.
And is there any particular music, flavour of music, genres that you're into, say in that early sort of transitional period from normal kid, global megastar, global, global, you know, but playing footy and like, you know, starting to find yourself as a professional as well, and obviously football. Yeah. You know, it's got all these other kind of annoying, exotic, different traits and different flavors to it, and you're exposed to different things. But the actual football itself, when it's going well, like that's fantastic, and it's so much fun. And I feel like there'll be a really nice, clean, sonic match to it. Yeah,
I think music that there was some anger and things like that. I used to get really angry. So some of the like when I say I listen to all genres, like as a teenager, I had even my MP3 player, my Discman growing up. I'd have some like heavy metal or rock as well, like. But then I listened, like, when I was at school, everyone went through that little emo phase too. So I listened to things like Panic at the Disco or
AFI,
Atreyu, Killswitch Engage. That's like Bleeding Mascara. Like I listened to all that stuff.
Bleeding Mascara.
I just right side of the bed, like that sort of stuff. I'd go through that, but then I'd listen to like happy type stuff, and you know, it'd be like Paramore, like I had Misery Business or Ain't It Fun. Ain't It Fun is like those type of stuff is what my sort of that was my sort of youthful years. And then I'd like, because when I grew up in the Swan Valley, I'd sneak into concerts. Like I'd jump fences and do that at Belvoir and things like that. So I'd do Cat Empire. You know, I went to a band. I remember. I won't dob any other teammates in, but we went to...
your mate Jeremy McGovern.
Okay. We went like big day outs and things like that, but Kanye played at Harrison Island. So Harrison Island's like... I don't think you can do things now because it's like a nature reserve indigenous thing. Isn't it? Yeah, but I remember seeing Kanye there, like back in the day. I was like Good Vibes or something, and it was like him and what do they call it? Sneaky Sound System, all that sort of crew.
I saw Sneaky Sound System recently.
Yeah,
and they were fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. Yeah. Sorry, Kanye.
No. So I'd see people like that. So that sort of era reminds me of that, or like being out at Belvoir and seeing Phoenix and listening to like Litzomania or things like that. Like 1901. So I was going through this phase of like. I chimed in with a how people ever heard of. Because when I was listening to that stuff, I was like, so people would like look at me and like, man, this guy's listening to like Biggie Smalls. Like, like that. I'm listening to the girliest girl song sometimes. I'm like, I'm like, doing that. I'm like, so I was just going up and down depending on my moods. Like I'd have a happy day or whatever, or a bad day. I'd just be going through it. So I'd love to have taken a screenshot of. There was no screenshots then of the music I was listening to because. Man, I've been listening to Whitney Houston. I listen to it all.
Yeah, man, ain't no need for a screenshot, brother. Let me pass you this aux and take us on a bit of a journey, man. Let's see where we end up.